Tonight, we are continuing our series called The Struggle Bus. So the first week, we talked about this idea that no matter how hard life gets, no matter how hard school may be, no matter how much struggle you may go through, you can conquer it. You can do more. You can have victory over it. And then last week we talked about limiting distractions because distractions try to steal your time and eventually your entire lifetime to where you just slip away and you feel like you haven't done anything at all. You haven't made an impact at all. And so how to avoid and limit the distractions. And so tonight we're continuing the series. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the term, I shared a story every week. I'm going to share another one this week. During quarantine, I wanted to do something lovely for my lovely wife. And I wanted to make her blueberry lemonade, carbonated or sparkling blueberry lemonade. And so what I did was I made the lemonade in a little jar, and then I went to go make the blueberry Sprite mixture. And so what I did was I put it in our little magic bullet, which is like a blender. And I put the Sprite and I put the blueberries in, I closed it and I did it. And then I realized as I opened it that you should never put a carbonated drink in a blender. And the reason why is as I opened it, it exploded blueberry Sprite concoctions all over the kitchen. And Bree just heard me from the other room go, uh-oh. And then she came running in, right? So I was on the struggle bus. It's just one of those things that if you didn't know already, you know now, and I'm happy that you can avoid it in the future by learning from my mistakes. That's what I want you guys to do is learn from my mistakes that I make in life. And so today we're going to continue that and talk about the messes of life or what makes life so messy, like I made my kitchen messy. And so we're going to do a few different things today. We're going to have a couple pop quizzes since we're talking about getting through school, and it's going to be an open note pop quiz. So if you guys have your phones with the Bible on it, or if you have a Bible with you, I'm going to ask you guys to look up Genesis 1. Or you might just know it right off the top of your head. Genesis 1, the very first chapter of the Bible, creation, the story of creation, how God created it. So my first question to you, and this is where the pop quiz comes in, who can tell me, what was the order in which God created everything in? So what happened on the first day? Aubrey. God created, so he spoke and there was light, and then on the next day, I believe he created heavens and the earth. Maybe I could be wrong. In the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. Yes, I'm a pastor. I should know that. I know. Hang on. So, but he said on the first day, he made light, right? Yeah, so the question was, what happened on the first day? So, okay, I'm still hired. I'm still employed here. Okay, I'm like, I have it written here, what it should be, but yes. In the beginning, he created the heavens and the earth. On the first day, he spoke, let there be light, and there was light, and it was good. Okay. Anyone have an idea of what happened on the second day? What did he create? So he created the sky, all right? And then I'll just answer the rest of these for you. It's the easiest pop quiz you've ever had. On the third day, he created land, seas, plants, and trees. On the fourth day, he created the sun, the moon, and the stars. On the fifth day, fish and birds. On the sixth day, land animals and us. And then on the seventh day, does anyone know what happened on the last day? He slept. He rested, okay? And so now, with that out of the way, it's time for our game. So we know what happened. God created all these things, and on the last day, he rested. So he developed all this. He made all these different things, the environment, animals, all that. Then he made us, and then he rested. And so what I want to do is I want to put you guys in God's shoes, and I'm going to allow you guys to create something. But just like God spoke things into creation, you guys will speak things into creation. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have the leaders come up, and they're going to be stationed at each table. And you guys will have 5 minutes to instruct them, and they'll follow your guidance to the T, except for making a mess of themselves. But they'll follow your guidance to the T. They're going to act like computers that have no programming or understanding of the world around them. They're going to basically be a rock that can do things, okay? And so you have to be very specific. You have to be very precise. And what's going to happen is I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes. Bree will be over this section, Kelly over this section, Dom over this section. Each section will have 5 minutes at the same time to create and instruct via your voice the sandwich. All right, sound good? At the end of the 5 minutes, I will declare who the winner is. All right, so everyone get ready. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. So, all right. So I'm going to ask you guys 3 questions. All right. So 1, what is the first component that is put on any peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Bread. Why? So bread. The answer to that question is bread. So why do we do that? Why is bread first? Because it's the base of the sandwich, right? So if you didn't have bread, so here I had Kelly make me a special one, and it's jelly, peanut butter, and then bread in the middle, right? So this, like, my fingers are just getting messy just holding it like this, right? It contains it, yes. Jelly's good. Okay. Sorry. Yep. Okay. So it contains it. It keeps it from being messy. So the second question for your second pop quiz here, I talk with a list because of peanut butter. I know why dogs have issues now. So I'm getting real distracted. I should have listened to last week's sermon. So anyway, creation. Why did God do things or create it in the way that it was created, or in the sequence that it was created? Because he wanted to?
Because that's the logical way.
Because that's the logical way? Why is it the logical way?
The foundation so your house doesn't fall down.
Okay, yeah, so essentially there is a reason why God made our environment before he made us, right? Why he made the environment before he made animals, why he made animals before he made us, and the truth is that there's a specific order that he did those things in, and why he worked and did the creation before he rested. Because if he just rested, guess what? There wouldn't be anything. And if he made us before he made the environment, we would just be floating out in space, right? So we were created, the purpose we were created for was to have a relationship with God, which we could have in any way, fashion, no matter what's going on in the environment. As long as we are created and he is there, we can have a relationship with him. But the other part, God tells us to basically take care of creation, to be fruitful and multiply and care for the other things that he has created. He gave Adam the job and the work of naming the creatures, right? And so work was involved in creation before sin came in. A lot of people think that jobs and things of that sort, we have to work because sin came in. If it was a perfect world, we wouldn't have to work. Well, work actually happened before the downfall of man. And God even put in work, put in effort to create the world around us before he rested. And so let me ask you this, the third question of your pop quiz. Why do you think your life gets so messy with all the things that you're asked to do? It's a big question. Why do you think life feels so messy? Let me ask this. Raise your hand if you feel like life is just a little too hectic sometimes. There's too much going on. Okay, so a lot of us can agree, things get overwhelming. You can put your hands down. Well, the truth of the matter is, whenever it comes to all the stuff that we're asked to do, which there's a lot, I'm not trying to downplay it. You gotta make sure you got enough sleep. You gotta make sure you got enough food. You gotta make sure that you get all your assignments done, that you do all your readings, that you spend family time, that you socialize and spend time with friends, so that way you keep up those things in your energy level and all of that. There's a lot that we have to fit in to the same 24-hour period that everyone else has. And it might seem virtually impossible. We look at it from the perspective that all these things culminate into the single mountain that we have to climb up each and every day. And if you know anything about hiking, even, not even just climbing mountains, but hiking, it can be rather difficult. So we look at it as a singular mountain instead of looking at it as individual components of a sandwich. You see, the truth is, if you look at life like a mountain, it's going to be hard. But if you look at life like a sandwich, it's easy to make a sandwich. It's hard to climb a mountain, right? It's easy to make a sandwich. It's hard to climb a mountain. And so what we really need to do, just like God did, is there's a specific order that we need to put into place in order to not feel like life is so messy. Just like there's a specific order that you do to make a sandwich. You put the bread on top and bottom in order to contain the mess. And so what I want to do is I want to break down Genesis 1 into two main parts that will help you if you implement it into your life and learn from God himself who created you. One is the first part, the first 6 days. What did he do? He worked. He created. He did stuff. And then that seventh day, he rested, right? And then one more like educational question. Can anyone tell me what Newton's first law is? Object in motion stays in motion. I'm lisping. And an object at rest stays at rest. Now, how many of you procrastinate? Right? So what's happening when you procrastinate, you have the option to work, and work can be defined as anything that you have to spend energy on, anything that you have to put effort into. So really, anything that you don't want to do, for the most part, right? So work is anything that you don't want to do. That's how we're going to define it tonight. So you have the option to work, to do the things that is asked of you, your homework assignments, your projects, your chores, all those different things. So you have the option to work, or you have the option to rest, which that's anything that recharges you. And so whenever we procrastinate, we put rest in front of work. And what ends up happening, and you'll notice this with people who sleep all the time, that whenever your body rests, it rests so that it can recharge the energy that was spent before the resting period, right? So sleeping recharges your energy. Sleeping, does all that as well as eating too. Whereas work is what's spending that energy. And so when your body rests constantly instead of working, it's like, okay, no energy was spent today. And over several occurrences of that happening, it's like, oh, I don't even need to save up this amount of energy. So I'm just going to save up the minimum amount of energy so that the body can be the most efficient. And so what ends up happening is you rest more and more and more, and you get less and less energy recharged because your body thinks you don't need that much. And so what ends up happening is you don't have the energy to do anything at all. And so it's really funny that the same thing that comes from a lack of sleep, or lack of rest, I should say, the same result that comes out of that also comes out of an overabundance of resting. So who feels exhausted most of the time? Right? And so that could be you're working too hard and not getting enough rest, or maybe you're procrastinating too much and resting too much. And so there needs to be a specific order that we need to work before we rest, because otherwise resting is harmful to us. We need to work before we rest. There needs to be this self-discipline that we need to choose to do all the things that we are asked to do before, or at least most of the things before we decide to rest. I think we can all understand that concept, because how many of you, and this is another hand raise, how many of you have ever had a conversation with your past self where you're mad at them because they didn't do what they should have done, and now future you has to do that on top of all the things that you have to do now anyway, right? So like that's a lot of us. So future me gets mad whenever I was supposed to do the dishes and now I have no dishes, right? Past me should have done the dishes, and future me wants to eat, but I have no dishes to eat on. So I just make a PB&J sandwich, right? When I could have made pizza rolls or something like that. Something more delicate. Yeah, that's true. Oh, in the bag? It's plastic. Can you do that? Oh, no. I don't know enough to say no. I'm going to be an awful parent in the first few years, just to let you know. But you guys understand that you have to work before you rest. Because if you don't work, your future self gets mad at your past self. If you don't work, what often happens if you choose, spending time with friends before you've done any work, then you're constantly worried while you're spending time with friends about that assignment that you should have been doing or had done before you even hung out with them, right? If you're trying to go to sleep, but you can't sleep because you're constantly worried about that assignment that is due that you should have done a couple of days ago. Right? You're staying up to midnight or later. I understand some of you stay up past that, trying to meet a deadline. And so procrastination comes from distractions like we talked about last week, but ultimately we have to have the self-discipline because we have to realize that the reward of working now and resting later is better than, resting now and resting later and getting no work done. So that way, when God rested, after he created everything, he could truly rest. And a lot of us feel like we never fully get rested because there's so much to do. Well, that's because we're trying to rest all throughout it instead of doing what we should do. And so what I want to do is I want to propose a couple tips for you. And I have them written down so that way I made sure I wouldn't miss any because these can be very, very important to you. So 1, just like a recipe, list your ingredients. So write down either on your phone or on a piece of paper each and every day or once a week, lining out that week, everything that you know for sure that you're going to have to do. Even if you don't know specifics, I can guarantee you're going to have math homework that week. You might not know what that math homework is, but you're going to have math homework that week or that day. So list out everything that you're expected to do, both the good stuff, the hard stuff, the bad stuff, everything that you're asked to do, list it out, either written down on a piece of paper, on your mirror with dry erase board, on your phones, whatever you decide to do, list it all out so that way it's there in front of you. And then label it, is it work or is it rest? Is it work or is it rest? Listing it out will first of all help you remember things and not miss any deadlines. But also, as you do these things, they're going to suck at first. They're really going to suck at first. But as you do these things, you'll actually find that you rely on them and are comforted by the fact that you have it all there so you don't have to keep it all up here. Because that just adds more stress to your brain. Secondly, create a sense of a meal plan for your work and rest. So create a calendar where you put in things that which you can't control. You can't control the times of. So your in school days, or your certain Zoom classes, or church, or sports, or certain things that you don't control the time of. Write those down and plug those in to your calendar. And then add the things that are truly necessary for life. Your meals, your sleep. Just to let you know, National Sleep Foundation says that people your age should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep. I always thought it was 8, but it's 8 to 10 for people your age. Who's getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep? Right? Who gets an inconsistent amount of sleep? Okay, I'm in that boat too, right? So at different points in life, you require more or less sleep, depending on how old you are and how your body's developing and things. You guys are recommended to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And here's the biggest thing that I can say about planning your meal times, like your actual, not like an analogy meal time, but like your actual eat food and get that energy times, and then your sleep times as well. The biggest thing I can say about that will help you is keep them consistent. Try your best to keep them consistent. Let's just say you wake up at 6. Who wakes up at 6? Okay, a few of you. Okay, a few of you. So let's say you wake up at 6, right? Take half an hour or something to eat breakfast, do your hygiene stuff. Please, for the love of all that is good and holy, do your hygiene stuff, okay? And then after that half hour, start your work, whether that's school, going to school, or if you woke up early enough, starting on an assignment that maybe you had assigned to you the day before. And then go to school, and then eat lunch, and then come home, and then have a snack when you get home. Plan out a snack time, like 2:30, because everyone gets tired like Luke's sitting right now. And so, he's just yawning. You're not tired, you're just yawning. It just worked out timing-wise. So, anyway, add things that are truly necessary, such as meal and sleeping, and try to keep them as consistent as possible. And if something comes up that tries to take that away, there's power in the word no, and you'll be like, I need my sleep. I'm getting my sleep. I don't care if I miss an assignment, I need this sleep in order to do the best that I can do in the future. Because what ends up happening is you let one thing rob you of your sleep a little bit, and then it's one thing after another, and then you're getting 4 hours of sleep. I've been in that boat for months on end, and it is awful. And it's awful to be around me in that time. And then lastly, after you've planned out everything or scheduled out everything that you can't control, everything that is required for living like sleep and food, in between those slots, plan out everything that's on your list. Your homework, your chores, your friend time, all of that. Fill those slots, those empty time slots on your calendar. This is very monotonous and very tedious, but like I said, if you do it enough, you'll come to rely on it and be comforted by it. This will truly help you, but again, I can't make these decisions for you. I can't make you work before you rest. I can't make you fill out a calendar. I can't make you list anything. I would highly recommend it. I will talk till I'm blue in the face, not tonight because you guys got to sleep. I care about your sleep, but I will talk till I'm blue in the face about how important these type of things are. If you go to my office, you'll see my whiteboard is full of all the things that I have to do. And I'll write down days that I plan on doing it. And so you can be as specific or as general as you want, but have some type of system, have some type of bread that keeps everything contained where it's like, I'm working on this in this time. I'm not focusing on these other things. I'm not going to be distracted by this. I really want to hang out with friends, but I need to suck it up so future me is happy with current me. Your life is in your hands. Your decisions are fully yours. They might be influenced by whether you'll be disciplined by parents or failing grades or whatever may happen. This is fully your decision, how much effort you want to put in to controlling your life. And yes, there's going to be things that happen that aren't part of your plan, but nonetheless, it's good to have a plan. It allows you to be more flexible, so that way you're not stressed or panicking when something comes up. You can have a plan of attack. You can think reasonably about it because you know, okay, this needs to happen. I see that this is what was supposed to happen here. I can move it and I can adjust it. Again, this isn't like a super spiritual talk. This is a very big life lesson that if you incorporate now, you'll be light years ahead of your peers, not just now in high school or in middle school, but throughout your entire work life, your family life, everything, absolutely everything. So work before you rest and implement some principles to help control the stress and the mess of life. Allow yourself to have peace. Allow your life to be as easy as making a sandwich. All right? Let's pray.